Hi, I'm John Decker, PGA instructor and author of the book, Golf is My Life, Glorifying God Through the Game. Today I want to talk about your set makeup, the clubs that you're actually carrying in your bags. Because many of the times when I'm working with my students, I'll go on the golf course with them and I'll notice that they have way too many long clubs, or they have clubs in their bag that they don't need, or they'll have clubs in their bag that are totally wrong for them from a loft standpoint with their wedges. So it's very important that you have the right set makeup. And I would recommend that you consult your teacher, your local club professional, and have them go through your entire set and say, okay, do I have the right set makeup? I'm not talking about the flex of the shaft, the length of the club. I'm talking about, do you have the right amount of woods, hybrids, and wedges? And in the game of golf, you're only allowed 14 clubs. That's the maximum. So in other words, I could go out there with 13 clubs and I'm fine, but I can't go out on the golf course with 15 clubs. So one club that I know I'm always going to have is a putter. So that's one of my 14 clubs right there. The other club that I know I'm going to need to have is a driver, something that I'm using to tee off with. You need to have a driver and a putter to play it. And these are clubs that you're going to use a lot on the golf course. We'll talk about the wedges in a moment, but I want to first of all talk about the fairway woods. I carry a 3-wood in my bag, but a lot of people say if you're a 15 handicap or higher, most players who are higher handicap players, like 20, 25, 30 handicap players, you don't need a 3-wood. You're going to be much better to use a 5-wood and go with more loft in your fairway woods. You're going to get much more better performance, and you're not going to lose distance. In fact, a lot of you are going to gain distance, especially if you have a slower swing speed. 3-woods are very difficult to use off the fairway for the average golfer. If you're a lower handicap player, single digit, absolutely. You're going to want to have a 3-wood in your bag, because a lot of times when I'm on the golf course, I'm going to use this to tee off with if I'm playing a hole that's really tight. So you definitely want to have at least one fairway wood. I would recommend a lot of you have 2 fairway woods. I don't think you need more than 2 fairway woods. I see a lot of my high handicap players carry driver, 3-wood, 5-wood, 7-wood, 9-wood. They'll have 5 woods in their bag, and essentially on the golf course, I'm not going to need to have all 5 clubs, or I'm not going to use all 5 of those woods on the golf course in an average round of golf. So if you find that you're not using a club, that's a sign that you probably don't need it. I would recommend that you have at least one hybrid. In other words, one of the hybrids that I recommend for a lot of my students is a 5 hybrid. And take your 5-iron and get rid of your 5-iron and put a 5 hybrid. If you have a 5-iron and you like your 5-iron, then get a 4 hybrid. But having a 2, 3, 4 hybrid or a 5 hybrid is going to be great. A lot of higher handicap players, a lot of women I teach, and a lot of men that I teach will actually have a 6 hybrid as well. So hybrids are much easier to hit than irons. So you want to try to get away from anything like a 2-iron, 3-iron, 4-iron, 5-iron. Get rid of those irons. Put the hybrids in. Talk to your club professional. Have the right spacing with your hybrids, and you're going to do very well. Because a lot of times when I grab people's hybrids, they might have 2 hybrids that are only 2 degrees off. So you want to make sure that your spacing of your hybrids and your irons are going to be 4 degrees. As we get into the wedges, one of the biggest mistakes that I see the average golfer make is they don't have enough clubs, enough wedges. I carry 4 wedges. I have my pitching wedge, I have a gap wedge, I have a sand wedge, and I have a lob wedge. And just so that you understand, the pitching wedge, my pitching wedge is 48 degrees. Some of you may have a pitching wedge at 46. My gap wedge is at 52. My sand wedge is at 56. And my lob wedge is at 60. So what I do is I like to space my wedges 4 degrees. So if you're carrying, you need to, when you're doing your set makeup, you need to have your club professional measure the loft of your pitching wedge. So if you have a 45 or a 46 degree pitching wedge, then you're going to need to have a gap wedge around 50, and then another wedge at 54, and then a lob wedge at 58. But you want to have those spread out. What a lot of students have in their bag is they'll have a really strong pitching wedge at say 45 or 46 degrees, and then their next club is 56, and they don't have a 60. Now they have these huge gaps. So if you're finding on the golf course that when you get on a lot of like par fives and you're trying to hit a third shot into the green and you don't have a club to fit the shot, you definitely don't have enough wedges. So you need to talk to your club professional, go through your set and make sure those are spaced out appropriately. Remember, having the right set makeup is very critical so that when you get out on the golf course, you have a club. And I always, my main thought is when I go out on the course is when I'm inside of 100 yards, I want to make sure I have a club for every situation. I never want to have a situation inside of 100 yards where I don't have a club. And if you're finding that you get inside of 100 yards and you don't have a club, you either need to add clubs or you need to change the wedges that you have. Talk to your club professional. Have him go through your bag and make sure that your bag has the right clubs for your game. If you do this, you're definitely going to lower your scores.